Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for the first volunteer town hall conference call for the Northeast Ohio region of the American Red Cross. Can you all hear okay? I'm assuming so.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yep, sounds clear to me.
Thank you. I'm Jim McIntyre, the Regional Communications Officer, and I will help host our call today with Regional CEO Mike Parks. Mike's going to provide an update on your work in the Northeast Ohio region, just to illustrate how all of you are helping us meet the mission of the American Red Cross. He'll also take your questions. With us in the room today are Regional Volunteer Services Officer Gail Wernick, the Regional Disaster Officer Tim O'Toole, and our Regional Services to the Armed Forces Director Jessica Tischler, along with our stalwart communications volunteer Cal Pusateri, who is he's shooting video so we can, we'll put this conference call on YouTube and then give you a link on Volunteer Connection, so if you want to listen in again, you'll be able to do that. Please mute your phones. Those of you who are joining us now, please be sure your phones are on mute so that we can eliminate all extemporaneous noise. We will then give you an opportunity after Mike delivers his opening comments to ask questions, and at that time, of course, you can unmute your phone. This inaugural virtual volunteer town hall is in direct response to your responses on the volunteer satisfaction survey. You told us that one of the areas of improvement most needed is that of communications. So here we are, 6 months into fiscal year 19, on the coldest day of the year and the coldest in recent memory, in a generation, we're told by the TV talking heads. And with an update on the work you've done so far, it's our Chief Executive Officer for the Northeast Ohio region, Mike Parks. Mike?
Well, good afternoon, and thank you, Jim. Now I know why they say you have a voice for radio and a face to match. So I really appreciate that introduction. Everyone, thank you for taking the time out of your day to be with us. I guess I would offer that I am glad we are not doing this outside, but I will say that you, some of your colleagues are outside right now because we are busy responding to a number of incidents throughout the region, and it is the support and service that all of you provide each and every day to those in need that just warms my heart. I had a chance this morning to speak to a group of leaders in Cleveland at an event, and they asked me something about what makes this job so special, and I was able to say, quite frankly, it's you, it's the volunteers. I am inspired by you and what you do each and every day. So I just want to start by saying thank you. Thank you to all of you for your efforts to accomplish the mission. Truly, 90% of what we do here, not only in Northeast Ohio, but in the Red Cross, is done by volunteers. And that is just a remarkable, remarkable statistic. So thank you for that. Some of the things that I won't belabor the point, because I know some of you have access to our Red Cross Impact Report and see some of our information. Hopefully you're signed up for our blog, where we on a weekly, bi-weekly basis provide information on what's happening. We try to push that information out through Volunteer Connection. And I want to also say thank you to all of you who participated in our surveys, who are providing that information so that we could even come up with this idea to have this forum, to have a discussion and a dialogue with you. So thank you for taking the time. Those surveys matter. I know you hear us talk often about making sure you enter your hours into Volunteer Connection, because we need to capture that. For example, just so you know, we've had more than 49,000 hours already recorded in the by the end of December, and almost close to 50,000. Our goal is 104,000 for the year, so we are well on our way to doing a great job. So thanks for that. And just a couple other things I'll tell you. As I was reviewing our statistics, most of our performance measures, we are on track. We've done some incredible work in servicing armed forces, helping our clients there, doing some resiliency workshops, all sorts of activity. Our disaster teams are, like I said, out today. There was an apartment fire that we're still working on near Woodmere. We've had just some tragic fatalities today down in the Akron area. We've got people who are dealing with these, trying to help with warming centers. We don't typically do that kind of work, but we support our community partners, especially during these frigid cold temperatures. So I want you to know that you are doing an incredible job out there, and I think instead of listening to me ramble, I'd like to open it up and offer you any opportunity. This is kind of like they say, an open shot on goal. Anything you'd like to talk about, this is really your time. So with that, I'll open the floor to any questions. If you just would, let us know, and we will try to take care of your concerns. You don't have to tell us your name, but if you just give us a very specific question, I'm more than happy to try to answer that. And if I can't, we will certainly get back to you in some way, shape, or form. So with that, Jim, I'll open the floor to questions.
Once again, please keep your phones on mute unless you're asking a question. We don't really have a system for taking questions, so whoever's first, go.
I'd like to be first. This is Donna Ray Smith, and first and foremost, Mike, thank you. You are a blessing and a gift to the American Red Cross and the whole team of volunteers and staff members as well. I'm very proud to be a member of the Red Cross family. Just simply thank you. I recently was in a discussion with others about the phenomenal work of the Red Cross and all of the many different ways that it is impactful in the U.S. and beyond. And if you could just at a very high level restate that for everyone, because I get a lot of questions about us, and along with how effective we are as an organization. And so if you could at a high level describe all the different areas that are where we are significantly and observably impactful. Thank you.
Well, Donna Ray, thank you very much for those kind comments, and it is a privilege to serve alongside you. And thank you for throwing that softball up there with an answer with 12 parts. So I'll be brief, but I will go to the high level for you and say, first and foremost, we are all privileged to be part of the world's premier humanitarian organization, without a doubt. There are 20,000 paid employees in the American Red Cross and over 320,000 volunteers. That is a remarkable organization, and there is no organization in the world that can create in a couple days a multi-million-dollar business that is driven by volunteers to create a positive impact in a disaster site. This is remarkable about the Red Cross. The Red Cross here in the United States provides 40% of the nation's blood supply. That is a safe and secure blood supply that we provide. On top of,
Please mute your phones, please. Thank you.
So in addition to the blood supply, we obviously respond to more than 70,000 incidents of disaster every year, whether they're the level 7 disaster as we've just experienced in the fall with Florence and Michael and those tragic wildfires out in California, to the simple home fire that might occur and is anything but a disaster for those people that live there and lose everything. So we do that here in Northeast Ohio on average 3 times a day. We also help our service members thousands of times a year try to get home from a deployment or being overseas, to get home to be with their families. We also conduct resiliency training and reconnection workshops that we do on a regular basis. Also at a very high level on our international side, we have virtually eradicated measles through our international vaccination program led by the American Red Cross and our partner agencies around the globe. And I cannot forget, since I actually had my first Red Cross experience learning how to swim, our training services partners train thousands and thousands of people throughout the year in different types of safety and health and safety types of work. So that's just kind of a high overview from disaster to blood to training services to service to the armed forces to our international level of work that we do throughout the country and throughout the world. So thank you, and hopefully that's responsive, Donna Ray.
Next question, please. Next question for Mike Parks.
I have a question.
Yes, please, go
My
ahead.
question is, does the Red Cross have any apprenticeship, co-op, or mentorship programs for the gaining in-demand skills virtually?
Okay, if I understand your question, you're asking if we have apprenticeship programs, and I would say that we do have some internships. They're non-paid, but we do provide some internships where people can come to our facilities and work with us. We do have some partnerships with some local schools that we do that with, but we do not have a program where we have actually a skills-based training program per se. I think what we really do is have these unpaid internships that people work with us, and that's really kind of the sole part of our experience, our efforts in that area. We do have places where we do things like Red Cross clubs, where we have work with younger folks, whether it's in high school or colleges, where we try to engage them in Red Cross mission areas. But that's probably the extent to that question.
Once again, please mute your phones unless you're asking the next question, and that could be you. Question, please, for Mike Parks.
Hi, Mike. My name is Mike Galland, and I'm a new member to volunteer with the Red Cross. And one question I had was regarding collaboration. I hear that a lot in the nonprofit community, and Cleveland is one of the largest and most, I guess, philanthropic communities, I think, in the country. In your role, do you see any collaborations going on, or do you see with any other organizations, for example, United Way, Cleveland Foundation, and others?
Well, thank you very much for the call, and thanks for joining the family here. It's great to have you. If I'm not mistaken, I think you're an SAF volunteer. Is that correct?
Pardon me?
Are you an SAF volunteer?
Yes.
Well, then you'll be pleased to know that we work very, very closely with other veterans organizations, whether it's the USO or the VA, for example. We do some work with our colleagues in Team Rubicon or Red, White, and Blue, or even Wounded Warriors. So we work very closely with others. We have a long-standing relationship with the United Way. We are working with them on, in fact, this year on how do we increase that partnership, not only here in the greater Cleveland area, but also throughout the region. We have a number of United Ways that we work with. The Cleveland Foundation, you mentioned them, they are a strong supporter of us, and we are working with them on a long-term program where they're supporting our sound the alarm, smoke alarm installation program in different villages as we concentrate our efforts with partners. So we work to collaborate with all number of folks, whether they be, the whole smoke alarm installation program was really a collaboration with the Cleveland Division of Fire, and that is spread throughout the region and actually throughout the country, so that we now, in the past 4 years, have saved more than 500 documented lives because of that program, which was really a collaborative effort that was started by my predecessor's predecessor, Stephen Bullock. So I would say that is one of our core values, collaboration, to be collaborative, and I think we really live that value out day in and day out. Thanks for the question, Mike.
Terrific. You're very welcome, Mike. Thank you.
Thanks once again, everyone, for joining us for our first virtual volunteer town hall conference call. As a reminder, please keep your phones muted if you're not asking a question, but you may ask a question right now. Who's next?
This is Peter Hoffman.
Go ahead, Peter.
I'm still the timing, recording our timings. Everybody did a nice effort on getting the software up, but
I'm not able to really put in position times the exact amount of time that I worked on. So either we can answer that, it sounds like I need technical support. So either we can have a general comment on keeping times or what kind of time record keeping we should be adding. And somebody could follow up with me at a later date on the more technical specific questions. Thank you.
Peter, thank you for that comment, and I do know that there are sometimes some challenges associated with recording your hours. Let me make a comment about that because I think it's more than just the technical piece. And Peter, we will certainly follow up with you personally and directly to give you, that you can do that, but you don't have to do that yourself. If you have trouble doing that for whatever reason, whether it's technical difficulties, you can contact us. You can talk to one of our staff members who's more than happy in our volunteer services shop to help you with that. But let me just make a comment just generally about the importance of these hours, because people say, well, I don't care, I don't need credit, and it's not important. Let me assure you, it is very, very important for multiple reasons. Most importantly is our funders, those people who provide us funding, and as all of you most likely know, we do not get a congressional appropriation. So we are dependent on all of our different funding streams. But a lot of those, whether it's the United Ways or these foundations or even some families, want to know what kind of volunteer support we have, and we have to document that to provide that. And I think that that's an important reason, as well as our, we track that because we want to recognize all the work that's being done by our volunteers. So I appreciate your willingness. I know sometimes that can be challenging, but we want to make it as simple as possible. There is an app to do that on a phone. There's also obviously a computer, but we can even go old school. All you need to do is keep track on a paper and pencil, and we will work with you to get that done. So Peter, I won't, we have your contact information. We don't need to have you tell us your phone number. We'll get in touch with you and we'll follow up with you directly. But for anyone else, I will give our volunteer services, regional volunteer services officer number out right now. So feel free to get a pen and write this down, because if you have any question, because I am convinced that we have far more people working out there doing this incredible work for the Red Cross that we're not capturing, and that does impact us sometimes negatively when it comes to getting funding. And the number is, and I'll ask Gail, she's actually in the room, to give us her phone number.
Yeah, so the number to contact volunteer services to assist with recording of your volunteer hours is 216-431-3328. And if I might add, please also reach out to your volunteer supervisor, your volunteer teams to assist with Volunteer Connection, recording your hours. We're happy to help in any way that we can.
Could you give that number one more time, please?
Absolutely, 216-431-3328.
Thanks, Gail.
Sure.
And thanks for the question, Peter.
All right, thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Once again, please keep your phones on mute unless you're asking the question. You do not have to identify yourself, by the way. It's nice that you do, but you don't have to do that. If you'd rather remain anonymous, you can do that too. Next question, please, for Mike Parks.
Jim, I have Portland Grove, biomedical volunteer manager. I really just wanted to chime in for a second to assure Peter Hoffman. Peter, I do believe you are a transportation specialist, and when you go in and sign in, your hours are accounted for. Your rep, Sydney Boddicker, does that.
Great, thank you. Thanks for
I
clarification.
just wanted to assure you that your hours are being accounted for.
Great, thank you.
Terrific. Next question for Mike Parks, please.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we have funders that fund us. What happens when we have an hourly goal? What happens in the funder's mind when we exceed that hourly goal for the year?
So
Do
are
we
you
get more money when we do that, or do we get less money because they think we don't need it, or what?
No, that's a very, very good question. I appreciate you asking. Excuse me, and I would offer this, that we have a goal that is is set by our national headquarters of how many hours we think it's going to take to accomplish the various missions that we have. And then our goal is to try to achieve that. Our funders look at these goals that we have because we are a national organization with national metrics, and when we apply to these, and I will tell you, every United Way, every foundation, every grant application is different. So we have to work specifically within the guidelines that they provide, but they want to establish goals for us that are either inside our goals or they're very specific for them. And then we have to show them what we've met. And if we're able to meet our goals, that shows, for example, that our volunteer workforce, which is so vitally important to the Red Cross, is working well, and that people are willing to invest their funds because we have the resources, basically all of you on this call, the resources to actually do the work, because that's their concern. If, for example, we did not get adequate representation of the work that you do by not achieving the goals in our hours, they would say, well, I'm not sure we want to put our money behind that effort. If we exceed those goals, that only shows them that we are a valuable resource that they can put their funding behind.
Thank you for the question. Did that answer it?
Yes.
All right, thanks very much. Thank you all for being so disciplined as to keeping your phones on mute. The background noise has been very minimal. Next question, please, from Mike Parks.
I have a question regarding the time. I have never recorded my time because I thought Laura Brooks did that upon filling out the paper each time I volunteered.
And
is that correct, or do I need to do that every time?
no, and I believe that Laura Burks actually does that. You are probably a donor ambassador, a blood donor ambassador. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, we will confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that that is actually happening. And I will tell you, because we are one Red Cross family, you say Laura Burks, you're going to be getting a new representative in the near future, because we just hired Laura Burks to be a disaster program specialist here in the Greater Cleveland chapter, because she is such a committed Red Cross employee, and she has done more than 8 years of work on the biomed side and wanted to come over to the humanitarian side to do some work in disaster. So she's going to do that, and we're excited to have her because of her background in working so closely with volunteers. That can only help us, but we will make sure to confirm that, and we'll push that information out. But I am pretty sure that Courtney Roach, I believe you're on the line. Do you want to chime in and make sure I don't misspeak?
Yes, I can. Thanks, Mike. Hi, everybody. I'm Courtney Roach. I spoke just a couple minutes ago. I am the Biomed Volunteer Manager, and I can assure all blood donor ambassadors and transportation specialists, if you have talked to your rep, or you are signing up for a blood drive, or signing up for a shift to take blood, your hours are being accounted for within our shift. So every time that you sign the paper at the blood drive or you talk to your rep, you are accounted for your hours.
Great, thank you very much.
Thanks, Courtney.
You're welcome.
And thanks for your help in setting up our first virtual volunteer town hall conference call with Mike Parks. Next question, please.
I have another comment that's not a question, but when the Red Cross was on TV getting donations via phone, I did call in, and the rep took my information. However, the information was incorrect. The address was incorrect, and obviously my credit card number was incorrect, because I got a letter later indicating that it did not go through, and to call in or something. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure that all the volunteers who are on TV maybe repeat the information to that person calling in to make sure they get the exact correct addresses, numbers for their credit cards, etc. And I do appreciate all their work going into the television stations. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Well, let me thank you, first of all, for your attempted donation. I'm sorry that didn't go through, but I appreciate your effort. You know, having been at a number of those facilities at the times of those telethons that were working, I will tell you it is sometimes very, very difficult to hear. And you make a great comment. We will certainly reiterate that to make sure we get the right information, because obviously the goal is to obtain those funds to help those people in need. And I will tell you the really good news that I want to stress for everybody is 91 cents out of every dollar we spend still to this day goes to meet mission. And that's an important statistic, that 91 cents out of every dollar we spend goes to meet mission. So thank you for the feedback. We'll pass that along, and thank you again for your desire to be so generous of not only your time and talent, but also your treasure. So, next question.
Since there's so many questions about recording the times, I'm assuming that the time spent here is part of our volunteer connection time to be recorded.
There's music to my ears, because I just was about to say that I think we have close to 100 people on this call, and I was doing the math. I thought, well, there's another 50 hours we can throw to the mix. So thank you for thinking about that, and that is completely correct. And I would tell you that if you're doing Red Cross type work, training or other kinds of things, reading Red Cross information and preparing for that, all that time counts. It's not just the time that you spend actually, quote unquote, deployed to the mission or providing services. Your personal investment in time and your talent, while you're trying to learn and become smarter about the Red Cross, counts as well. So thanks for that time. What else can I do for you? We got about 5 minutes left. I want to make sure I answer your questions.
Mike, this is Blake Birdwell. I just had one request, and I mentioned this to an APAC member recently while I was out in California, but one of the things that I appreciate is being able to take training online, having the online courses and what have you. And there are a number of them that are only available as in-person courses, and in a lot of cases, they're nowhere near the Cleveland region. So I guess my thought, and I was asking her to push it up the line, and I'm asking you to do the same thing when you have a chance to talk to the upper echelons in Washington or wherever, is that it seems to me that whenever they do one of these courses, it ought to be videotaped and then available as a streaming course. Even if you can't take it for credit, maybe you need, that personal interaction to make sure that you capture, the entire entity of the course. But at least have a streaming course that people can look at, to refer to gain knowledge before they go on a deployment or something like that. I think it would be extremely valuable. And I think we're missing a big opportunity by not videotaping a lot of the courses and training that we do. So I was really happy that Jim mentioned that you're recording this. I think that's great, but I think Red Cross could do that in a lot more efficiently and make a lot more things available to their members.
Well, Doug, thank you for that great idea and that feedback. I really appreciate it. I also want to say thank you because I just read your blog entry about your time out in California. Thank you for deploying out there and sticking with us. And what an experience! And thank you for capturing it so well for us. So I really appreciate that. And I will say that that some of the issues with regard to some of the training is there is some requirement to do some of this in person. And I think that that's something that we will continue to find ways. I like the idea of seeing if we can make it available. I will tell you, I personally have probably something like 24 different courses that I need to take, and just that are in my wheelhouse that I'm supposed to do. And I can tell you, it is pretty daunting. Fortunately, a lot of them aren't in person, but it does make it. There is an awful lot of training available, and but we'll push that up the line. I think that's good feedback, and I thank you for your efforts, and certainly thank you for deploying to one of the most devastated areas in our country. Jim?
And if I may mention, Doug is the one who populates the homepage of Volunteer Connection with links to stories from our blog every week. And if you're not following the blog yet, you may do so. If you do, you'll get an email notification every time we we post something new on the blog. The address is neoredcross.org. On the left side, once you log in, you'll see there's a dialog box there that asks for your email address. You enter that email address and then look for a confirmation email. Sometimes it goes into your clutter or junk, but when you see that confirmation email and click on it, you will then begin to receive automatically in your inbox the blog stories that we're populating the blog with on average 3 times a week. So thank you, and thank you, Doug, for all the hard work that you do for not only Volunteer Connection, but also disaster services and for the communications department. Did I miss anything? I don't think so. We've got time for one more question. Is there anyone else who would like to ask a question of Mike Parks before we depart?
Mike, I'd like to make a comment. My name is Jack Higley. I just think that the volunteer coordinators for the Bloodmobiles do a fantastic job, and now they're spread even farther apart than what they were before. They have a bigger job than what they did, and I think they do a fantastic job, and they really do volunteer a lot.
Please mute your phones. Please put your phones on mute, except for you, Jack.
Okay, I just need to make that comment about, the volunteer coordinators for the Bloodmobiles. They do a fantastic job, and they are spread so far apart.
Well,
5? Now you said 6, 5.
all right, Jack, I would say thank you very much for that feedback about our blood volunteers. The folks that do that work, we couldn't do that mission without them. We could not provide that safe and secure blood supply without our blood volunteers. So I really appreciate that, and
you know what?
The people,
After 56 years of volunteering for the Red Cross, I have seen a lot come and go, and they do a fantastic job.
well, first of all, thank you for 56 years. It sounds like you're just getting started there, Jack. Good for you.
That's right.
I appreciate that. I look forward to crossing paths with you in the near future. And I would just close this call out by saying we will do this again. Thanks for your interest. Thanks for your time. And let me close by just telling you, I just got back from DC last week, where I was part of an executive orientation class, not taking it but helped teaching it. And in the process, I got to hear all of our Red Cross leaders in Washington, and specifically Gail McGovern, our CEO. And I will tell you this, if I can leave you with one thing, I left feeling incredibly excited about the future of the Red Cross and with where the organization is going and how we're getting there. So, I can just tell you that I'm excited, and I tell people I don't have to do this, just like all of you don't have to do this. And I've even moved beyond I get to do this to the fact that I really, truly want to do this. And I think that is true for all of you. So thank you for what you do. Stay warm. If you go outside, bundle up. And thanks again, and we will talk to you soon. Have a great 2019. Thank you. Goodbye.